What is going on, everyone? Since my video for my top 10 movies of 2016 is coming in tomorrow, I wanted to make a video for my top 10 movies of last year, 2015, for you. I really thought that 2015 was a pretty strong movie year, so I thought, why not just make this video instead of doing my top 10 worst movies of 2016, since I did not see enough really bad movies. And I thought this would be a great idea. I think 2015 had a lot of good movies, and I would be really happy to share them all with you. And for my countdown videos, I usually have an honorable mention list, just like in my top 10 movies of all time video. So nothing changes here. I do have my honorable mentions. There were a lot of good movies, and I do have a good amount of honorable mentions. So to start, I have Southpaw, Inside Out, Kingsman: The Secret Service, The Martian, Ant-Man, Black Mass, Everest, and the two movies I felt could have made this list but just had to be taken off it were Room and Spotlight. Those movies are all really good. If you have not seen any of those movies, I would recommend checking them out. They're all a really good time, just not good enough to make this list. And so let's begin with number 10. It is The Gift. Joel Edgerton and Jason Bateman star in this movie, and they are extremely good. Probably the best performances I've ever seen from them. And this movie, for me, is a really, really good thriller. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and part of that was because of the amazing screenplay written by Joel Edgerton, and he also directed this movie too. So Edgerton is really good as a director and an actor in this movie, and Jason Bateman is, of course, amazing. And this movie is really thrilling throughout the entire thing. And the ending was also really surprising and caught me by surprise for sure. At number 9, we have Bridge of Spies. This is, of course, a Steven Spielberg movie from last year. Tom Hanks was the star, and Mark Rylance was also the co-star. And Mark Rylance in this movie as the Russian spy was really, really good. He definitely deserved the Oscar in this movie, and the writing in this movie is really good. It looks like a movie that would be really boring, but I was really interested to see if Russia and the United States could come together and make peace and maybe make this trade between the two people. In the movie, of course, we have the Russian spy and then we have the American spy, and I thought the story was really good, and Steven Spielberg did a great job in directing this movie. Tom Hanks, of course, was great. Bridge of Spies is a really good movie. At number 8, Spectre. James Bond is one of my favorite franchises of all time. A lot of people did not like Spectre. In fact, I would say that Casino Royale and Skyfall are both better than this movie, but I still really enjoyed this movie, even though it was not as good as those two. Daniel Craig is really good in this movie, of course, and then we have a really good Bond girl in this movie as well. I think the action was pretty exciting. Overall, I think it's a fun Bond film, definitely one of the better ones that we have over the last several years. So I think Spectre is a really underrated James Bond movie as well. At number 7, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I just gave my review on this movie about 2 weeks ago, and Star Wars: The Force Awakens, I think, is a really fun movie. A lot of people actually had this at the top of their list, and for me, I do think that it has some noticeable flaws, especially because it's almost like a repeat of Episode 4, but I still think that they did a really good job in making it a story for the new people as well as the old people. Of course, you have Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2 all return in this movie. And then, of course, you bring the new characters in: Rey, Finn, Poe Dameron, Kylo Ren. I think it was a pretty good story overall, and I'm really excited to see what Star Wars has next. At number 6, The Hateful Eight. Quentin Tarantino is one of the best working directors to this day. The Hateful Eight is a very good Western movie. Very good performances all around. I think it's really interesting because everybody is trapped inside this log during a snowstorm, and overall the dialogue is incredible in this movie. The screenplay is magnificent, and of course there's all the gore in a Tarantino movie, but I think The Hateful Eight is a really good movie. Just one of those Tarantino classic movies that we always get, and The Hateful Eight is also a really funny movie too. Tarantino, of course, does a really good job in adding the humor into his movies. This movie is no different. It's very funny. At number 5, Sicario. Denis Villeneuve is a very good director, as we know. Prisoners, Enemy, and now we have Arrival, and of course last year, Sicario. Of course, in this movie we had Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin all starring, and I think that was the best trio in a movie last year. All three gave some of the best performances we've ever seen the entire year. And this movie was a really realistic take on the war on drugs, and I loved it. I absolutely think that Sicario is one of the best war on drug movies we have. Part of that has to be due to the great directing by Denis in this movie, and also the performances are really good. That makes it separate from all the other drug war movies that we have that take place in Mexico. This one is really gritty, very realistic, and really, really well made. Also, a terrific score in this movie. It is one of my favorite scores of all time. The Sicario score is one hell of a listen. At number 4, Ex Machina. This movie to me is like another thriller. We have Oscar Isaac starring as well as Domhnall Gleeson, and both are really good in this movie. Oscar Isaac is very creepy in this movie, but the directing of this movie is really good. It's almost like a thriller. You're on the edge of your seat the entire time. There's so many twists and turns that I just loved, and the score too was also really good. It's a movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat from the beginning to the end, and you just want to find out what's going to happen next, and that's part of the reason why I think Ex Machina is one of the best 5 movies of last year. By the end of the movie, your mouth just drops to the floor. That's how good this movie is. At number 3, Creed. Rocky is a great franchise as well. Michael B. Jordan in this movie as Adonis Creed was fantastic. And of course you have Sylvester Stallone return as Rocky. He was also really good, and it was a nice retelling of the old Rocky, but also made a new story for Rocky, kind of like The Force Awakens. But Creed, I feel like, was a better movie. It was really well made, very intense. The ending sequence, the fights were all really well shot and all very intense. I think Creed is a really good movie, very, very well made, very intense throughout the entire thing, and I don't think Creed ever let up in the entire movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end, and my eyes never went off the screen. They were on the screen throughout the entire movie. At number 2, Mad Max Fury Road. This film, I would say, is easily the best action movie of last year. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron are absolutely great. The first time I saw this movie, I was like a little bit disappointed, but after watching it a second time, it was really fast-paced. The action is so realistic, extremely well shot in this movie. George Miller is a great director. Mad Max was a very surprising movie to me. Very, very fast-paced action, very realistic-looking action. Every single shot in this movie was breathtaking. This movie is a very, very good action movie. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You don't lose any interest whatsoever. It's very fast-paced. Mad Max Fury Road is one of the fastest-paced action movies I've ever seen, and it's a damn great movie. And of course, at number 1, one of the most underrated movies, I think, of 2015, if not the most underrated movie. And that movie is The Revenant. I don't think there's a reason to put a poster next to me for this film. I do have the Blu-ray here. Of course, I have the poster right next to me, so no need to actually have a real poster. But this movie, oh my goodness. This is one of my all-time favorite films. It is so good. If you saw my video back in May, my top 10 favorite movies of all time, you'll notice that The Revenant is on that list. This movie, I feel like, is so underrated. Many people did not even have this on their top 10 movies of last year, but in my opinion, this is easily the best movie that came out last year, hands down. The Revenant is extremely well shot. We all know that. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking from shot to shot, and it all makes it look really realistic. The screenplay keeps you on the edge of your seat as well. DiCaprio and Hardy are absolutely amazing, Oscar worthy, of course. Domhnall Gleeson is very good. Will Poulter is also very good. All gave great performances. The movie itself is very gritty too. The bear sequence, oh my goodness, the bear sequence, how well shot was that? Who would have thought they could ever pull that off? That sequence was amazing. The opening sequence was also amazing. That scene in itself was one of the best scenes I've ever watched in a film, just because it was all one take. It was really awesome to look at. That sequence alone made me love The Revenant. I really have no idea how they pulled anything off in this movie. The Revenant, in my opinion, is a masterpiece of a movie. Even the score is really good. It makes you feel kind of sad, but I love the score and everything else about The Revenant. I do, in fact, think it is the best movie of 2015. If you have not seen this movie yet, go see it. People complain that it's a little slow, but in my opinion, I feel like it's pretty fast-paced. The slow pacing and some of the scenes don't really matter all that much to me. It makes sense. It works with the movie, and that's why I think The Revenant is one of the greatest movies that I've ever seen, and you all should definitely watch it. Alright guys, so that's my video for my top 10 movies of 2015, last year's movies. And tomorrow I will be making my video for my top 10 movies of 2016, the one you guys have all been waiting for. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what your favorite movie of 2015 was, and have a fantastic day.